I came home early on a Thursday, for no big reason, just because I missed my kid, turned the key, cracked the door, and my quiet house suddenly sounded like a nightclub. Brass horns pouring down the hallway, heels tapping laughter that didn't belong to us, and there, framed by the living room lights, like a scene that should never be real, Sloane in a cobalt dress spinning in Luca's arms, while my 6-year-old Mia knelt by the bar cart with a dustpan picking green shards of a broken bottle, with those careful little hands kids use when danger doesn't care how small they are. I stood there with my briefcase sagging, and something in my chest tore clean down the middle. Sloane saw me first, smile still glued to her lips, but gone from her eyes. "Ethan, you're home early," she sang like a hostess, and Luca's hand slid off her waist, like the music told it to, I whispered. "Mia, honey, you okay?" And she nodded, the way kids nod when they think the right answer will make the moment disappear. Sloane floated to me, perfumed sweet voice cooler than the marble. "Baby, relax," she's learning. "Responsibility, kids need chores, or they grow up helpless, you know what I mean?" And Luca lifted his glass like the room was in on a joke I'd missed. I looked at Mia's fingers and saw tiny half-moons where glass had kissed skin, and I wanted to scoop her up and apologize for every meeting I'd ever chosen over bedtime. And yeah, I let Sloane steer me to the sofa that's on me. Dinner was cold, oatmeal, and colder silence I tried. "Soft, do you want more berries?" And she flinched from the idea of me, not me exactly, but the idea Sloane did, that little laugh that shows teeth without showing humor. She's dramatic, probably tired, and I nodded like a man who signs papers. He hasn't read later, lying awake next to a woman who sleeps like nothing ever sticks. I watched the ceiling turn into a spreadsheet I couldn't fix, and heard my first wife Grace in my head, the last night in the hospital, when the machines beeped like far-off alarms. "Promise me you'll protect her, not with money, with time, with your eyes." I said yes, I meant it then. Life charged interest. The house started teaching me a language I didn't want. Sloane's soft voice had hard edges when it was just the two of them. Dance lessons bled past midnight. Mia got quieter, like someone kept turning the dimmer even after dark. I tried to show up, took a Saturday off, held her hand to the park, pointed at the ice cream cart, like a truce, vanilla. "Your favorite?" Remember, she slipped her hand out of mine, and the air where she used to be was colder than you'd think under the oak. I brushed hair from her eyes. "If something's wrong, you can tell me, I will believe you." And she looked at me the way kids look at a door. They're not sure they're allowed to open then. Sloane drifted in with a paper bag of croissants and a smile made for cameras. "Look who I found." Mia took one and said, "Thank you, so soft, it could have been a leaf." I mistook that for progress, because hope can be lazy. Yeah, that happened. The turn came 2 nights later. I dropped my keys, heard a clink. Then a sharper sound, like the floor arguing back, ran to the kitchen, and Mia was on a chair reaching for the good dishes on the top shelf. The chair rocked, a bowl slid. She slipped a sliver, found her heel, red ribboning out. I got her on the counter, pressed a towel that filled too fast. My voice sounded like someone else's. "Who told you to climb up there? You're 6. You don't do this alone." She shook her head at everything. Sloane appeared in the doorway, like she owned the rectangle. She broke a bowl. She cried. You shouted. That's the story. Luca wandered in behind her, collar open, lazy smirk. "Take it easy, man. You're scaring the kid." And somewhere between breathe in and breathe out, Sloane had the phone to her ear. "Hello, my husband. Lost his temper. We're frightened." I stepped toward her, and she slid away without looking at me. Red lines like a machine. The police were kind and tired. "Did you raise your voice?" "Yes." "Did you lay a hand on your daughter?" "Never," they wrote on thin paper and left a heavier feeling. Sloane poured herself a drink and said, "This house needs stability, and that was the night I learned some people say stability and mean control. I wish I turned into a hero in the morning. I didn't. I went to work because spreadsheets tell you you're important when you feel useless. The court papers hit our doorstep at dawn like a subscription. I never ordered temporary guardianship. Hearing my signature on a form. I don't remember signing, maybe midnight. Initials on a week with 15 fires. Maybe smoke. The judge accepted it provisionally while we investigated. Sloane dabbed precise tears. Her lawyer, Veronica, spoke in a tone that tastes like strategy and sounds like concern. Mr. Caldwell is brilliant at work and inconsistent at home. We simply seek safety for the child. I looked back and saw Mia in the second row, with Marisol, the housekeeper, who kept us stitched together. Since before Grace died, Mia clutched her teddy buttons. Somewhere past, scared, the gavel fell temporary custody to Sloane till more evidence and the room tilted. I drove to the office that night and tried to outrun a verdict with work-signed pages I didn't read, because it felt honest in a broken way around 2 a.m. I stared at a picture of Grace holding baby Mia under a county fair sun and said to the empty room, "I failed you the second." Hearing is where the story bends, not because I got smart, but because people who were told to be small decided to be big. It started bad. Veronica put up photos of Mia looking tiny by a window, a neighbor's line about raised voices, truth cut into pieces and rearranged till it impersonates something else then. Luca stood like a man who decided the cliff wasn't worth it. "Your Honor, I need to say something," he told the court. Sloane staged the call, made Mia scrub till her hands went red, laughed later. Veronica sliced back, ex-lover scorned. No proof and hope flickered then. Judge Whitaker did something that felt like a trap and turned out to be a door. He asked if Mia wanted to speak, my heart free. Fell, Ava, my attorney squeezed my sleeve. "Let her choose," Marisol pressed a folded handkerchief into Mia's palm. Our girl walked slow. Each step, a bridge that might not hold. She didn't talk. She opened her backpack, pulled out a wrinkled sheet of printer paper, held it up with both hands so the judge could see a crayon drawing. A woman in a bright blue dress with yellow hair and a man in a black shirt dancing with music notes floating in front. A little girl with brown pigtails on her knees with a broom. A red line near her heel. In the corner, a door open, and a tall rectangle with a briefcase. Kids draw simple, because they don't have time to learn how to lie. The room went still. Veronica rose and the judge tapped his gavel soft. "The drawing stays, it is the child's truth." Marisol stood trembling and steady. "I'm not proud, but I recorded some things when I got scared." Ava pressed play, and Sloane's voice iced the room. "He's too busy to notice the girl is my leverage. Once I have papers, he'll dance how I want to gasp. Not theatrical, human." Sloane leapt up, edited. "Illegal," the judge held a hand. "We'll verify for now. The court will hear it." Then a young accountant in a crooked tie raised his hand. "Nate Jr. at my company passed ledgers and emails showing a board member. Milton moving money and talking to Sloane's burner about creating smoke around me while they moved." Milton's chair hit the floor. "This is ridiculous." It wasn't. And then a man with a cane walked in and took off his cap. "Sloane Bishop is my daughter. She conned me out of my pension for a skincare business that never existed. I'm not here to hurt her. I'm here because that child doesn't deserve whatever story she's writing." Sloane opened her mouth, and nothing useful came. Luca lifted his phone. I found the messages. "Make the kid do dishes till she cracks. If he raises his voice, I call the cops. We'll play the mother card, win custody, then win the boardroom." The music left the room, there's church quiet, and there's the quiet that happens when a lie gets pinned to a corkboard. This was the second kind, the judge recessed in the hallway. I sat with Mia on a bench that belongs to dads who learned something too late, I told her. I was sorry for every time I chose a flight over pancakes. She leaned into me with a weight I'll carry forever. I knew you'd come back for me, she whispered, like the end of winter. The next morning, the courtroom felt like opening night. Sloan looked like someone whose script had blown away. Milton wouldn't lift his eyes. Veronica poured water. She didn't drink. Judge Whitaker spoke slow about evidence and intent, the difference between a bad week and a bad parent. Guardianship as a shield, not a weapon. The recording authenticated, the ledgers checked, the messages verified, and the drawing. He paused, the drawing said, what the adults tried not to say. He looked at me without letting me off the hook. Mr. Caldwell, success is not a custody plan. I believe you love your daughter, and I believe you need to be home in time to prove it. My throat tightened in a way a good cry fixes. If men like me remember how he turned to Sloan, the court finds you with Mr. Graves and others engaged in a scheme to falsify circumstances for custody, and control charges will be referred. The gavel fell like a soft hammer on a hard truth, full custody to me. Supervised visits for Sloan. If and when a therapist says it won't harm Mia, we walked out into sunlight that felt personal, pancakes at a diner that still smells like the 80s. The waitress slid extra berries to Mia, like she could see what the week took. We laughed when syrup got everywhere, and when a reporter called, I flipped the phone face down and said, not today. I want to say that's the end. It's almost the end. There were board meetings where Milton couldn't find a dark enough corner. He resigned press statements where I learned truth trends slower than scandal, but lasts longer nights. When Mia dreamed in glass and jazz, and we ate cold pancakes under the fridge light, naming everything in the kitchen, until the kitchen felt safe. I'm not perfect now. I just put work in a smaller box, and I leave meetings by saying I have to go be a father. The first time a CFO said, must be nice, and I said, it is, you know what I mean? And still, here's the part you might argue with. I think about how easy it was to sell a story about me, because I wrote the outline with my absence. Yes, she deserves consequences, and yes, some of that mess sprouted in the soil I left unwatered. We're complicated on our best days, dangerous on our worst, when we tell ourselves we're too busy to look the people we love in the eyes. The drawing is on our fridge now with two new things, a sun in the corner with big rays, and that rectangle at the door has arms, one around the small girl. I took a photo and texted it to my lawyer. Exhibit A for a better future, she wrote back. Hold the door open with both hands, so that's my story, told plain, no violins, just a dad who woke up in time. Now it's your turn who gets believed first. In kitchens and courtrooms, the polished adult with perfect lines, or the kid with the crayon. Where's the line between discipline and control, between tough love and cruelty? If a parent shows up late but shows up honest, do they deserve grace, or does money tilt the scale no matter what? Have you ever seen a small act of courage drag a whole lie into the light? Tell me in the comments, argue with me, teach me something. Hit like if this hit you back, subscribe if you want more stories told like this, and share it with someone who would go to war for their kid. I'll be in the comments listening.